Hi coaches, we're just going to go over our 6-man line-out now. We've talked a lot about our 5-man line-out. In essence, the 6-man line-out is the same as the 5-man line-out, where we are looking to identify space. All we're doing now by having a 6-man line-out is it gives us more of a potential to drive, but it also gives us more of a potential to have space out wide if we're pulling in 6 or more of their players into the line-out. So there's some tactical variations there. Key things that haven't changed are the bookends, so we still have our traditionally props at the end and our hooker throwing. I know in the first 15 that might be slightly different. We're coming in 2 pods, but still 2 waves, so the bookends, so in the black, the hooker, the bookends come in first and set, and then the jumpers come in second. That's the same as the 5-man line-out. What we're doing here is we've got 2 pods, so there's a pod there at the back and a pod there at the front. But again, that changes depending on the off call. We're still relying on speed on the ground, that speed of foot of the jumpers and the lifters, and then speed of the lift itself in the air, all depending on space, as I said. So this is really where our 4-letter word comes into play here. Now remember, the letters represent a geographical area between the 5 and the 15. They are assigned to the 4 jumpers now as well. Remember on the 5-man line-out we were just using 3 letters, but our 4-letter word now comes into play. Let's run through some scenarios and talk about different opportunities. As these 2 pods come in together, we're still using the off-off system. If this jumper here at the back, who's our default, sees that there is no opposition and there's space there, it needs to come in, and then that person will just call a nod or a yes, and the hooker throws straight away, we're off the top, and we're playing rugby. If this pod up here identifies that they're marked up, and as this pod move in and they hear an audible no from this player now becomes the next default. And if there's space and there's no opposition there, a nod of the head to the hooker, these 3 then go up. And it's a drop and a pop, and we play. And again, we can do this without too much audible communication, allowing for speed on the air, speed on the ground, because we've identified where the space is. If our guys come in here, especially if we use this 2 or 3 times in a game and the opposition start to recognize that there where our pods are, and then pod up against us or match up against us, we have a no call, we have a no call, and then we are now equidistantly spaced after the no call, and now what we do is we make a call. So this is the first time that our players will be calling, and that's where we still look to identify space, and if the space is on the V area, geographically, then these 2 jumpers become lifters, and that person jumps up in the air. Anything from the VA backwards is an off the top. Anything from the O end forwards is a drop to the ground and pop. Why are we dropping and popping, and why I want you to really work hard that your jumpers do that, is that we then eliminate the potential for the guy at the back of the line out to put pressure on our 10 or undue pressure on our 10. So it's important tactically we know when to go off the top and when to go off the bottom. If we give our players some simple guidelines such as that, it tactically makes it easier for what's happening next. So there's a few scenarios there, coaches. I trust that makes sense. Now we're using the call after we don't have an option at the back or at the front.